Hi guys, this is gsmdown.com and I'm here with a handset called the LeEco Le Max 2 for a full review. This model was announced back in April and it's the most powerful phone we've ever tested, also the first handset with 6GB of RAM here at gsmdown.com. And another premiere is the fact that this model is the first smartphone we test without an audio jack. Nothing here and nothing here when it comes to the audio jack. This is the infrared emitter, make no mistake about it. So the phone, the LeEco Le Max 2, comes from the company formerly known as LeTV, now LeEco, and it's bundled with a case and an USB Type-C to audio adapter. It's the current LeEco flagship and it's priced at around $400, which is excellent for this handset. Keep in mind it has a 4GB RAM version and a 6GB RAM version, and the $400 price tag is probably applied to the 4GB one. Now it's time to discuss the design. So we're dealing with a 5.7 incher that measures 8mm in thickness and it weighs 185 grams. Other 5.7 inchers are about the same size. For example, the Microsoft Lumia 950 XL is 8.1mm thick, which means it's 0.1mm thicker than this one, and it's also lighter by 20 grams, while the Nexus 6P is quite a bit slimmer at 7.3mm, and it's very close as far as the weight is concerned at 178 grams. The conclusion: this is quite a heavy phone even for such a big diagonal, and it's made of metal. It has a unibody metal approach. It comes in rose gold, gray, and it's quite angular compared to the current trends. We get a slightly rounded back, also rounded corners, but the sides are totally angular, and especially the screen edges are, I would even say, sharp and not very pleasant to the touch. We got a big camera protrusion at the back, pretty okay grip, and rough one-hand usage, as you can see, because of the angular edges. The build remains quite solid. It's an elegant phone with chamfered edges and with comfy buttons here. At the back you can find the plastic lid at the bottom and at the top. These ones are probably meant for the antenna on board, and in the end the LeEco Le Max 2 remains a well-built phone, good looking phone, but also massive and heavy. Time to discuss about the design. It's a 5.7 inch screen. It's an IPS LCD with LTPS technology and the resolution of 2560 over 1440 pixels. On paper we're promised 415 nits of brightness, and now let's see what we're dealing with here. Interestingly, there is no 2.5D glass panel here, there is no Gorilla Glass, there is no protection, so the screen is easily scratched. Now the video player is available here. It's quite straightforward, and let's check out the test video. The options here include screenshot, there's also small window, cast, and more, like audio track, caption settings, and video details, and that small window resembles pop-up play in functionality. Now as far as the actual screen experience goes, the screen is reasonably bright, at least indoors. It has vivid colors, wide view angles, typical for an IPS, and the contrast is not very good in the sunlight, and we can also do pinch to zoom in this player. The screen remains pretty crisp, and I have to mention that as far as the actual usage experience goes, the icons on the screen are a bit too small for my liking, and some of them are even incomplete or strangely scaled, as you can see here, but that has to do with the software, not necessarily the screen. Things to remember: vivid colors, wide angles, bad contrast in the sun, and pretty bright, not hugely bright. Let's see how the brightness came out in our tests. So before that you have to see the pixel setup. This is the RGB stripes pixels, and the lux meter showed us a value of 396 lux units. It's not flagship level, it's only good enough, doesn't break any records. It's good indoors, but outdoors in a sunny day you may have some problems. It beats the Asus Zenfone 2 Deluxe and scores below the Sony Xperia Z3 and the OnePlus One, so could be better. Also the screen bezels are quite big compared to other models nowadays. And the display gets its very own settings. We got brightness level, we got adaptive brightness, and special color modes that include LeEco, vivid, natural, or soft. Frankly speaking, I tested all of them and there aren't any big differences between these, which may be a bit of a bummer for some people. There's video display enhancement for extra smoothness, font size, which can be large, small or normal, display real-time speed, sleep and LED notification light, and that's it in a nutshell. The screen remains not very impressive and it's only good indoors when it comes to the brightness. Now, if you want to talk about the CPU, GPU and all that, keep in mind we're dealing with a very powerful phone. It has a Snapdragon 820 processor inside. It has an Adreno 530 GPU, comes with 4 or 6 GB of RAM. Our version comes with 6 GB of RAM, 32 or 64 GB of storage. There's no micro SD here, and obviously there's no lag, and interface is fluid no matter how many apps are opened at the same time and no matter what you throw at it. Of course, games run like a charm, and up until now we had Riptide GP2 as a benchmark game. Now we have the follow-up, Riptide GP Renegade, as a benchmark game here. Keep in mind we turned the frame rate and the graphics and everything all the way up, so the experience is really nice. Okay, quick race, unicorn base, sky mines, and here we go. The core here is for you to experience the graphical qualities of the game. As you can see, everything looks great here. The device handles it like a champ. It doesn't even get hot. Responsive controls. I opted for the touch control because the tilt one does not feel precise to me. Nice looking water, lighting, frame rate, and a fantastic universe, this one here. Water effects, speed sensation, everything checks out just fine. Okay, now that we're done with the gaming part of the deal, let's go to the benchmarks. We also have those. I will not insist too much on them because we will talk till tomorrow. Of course, all the benchmarks have high scores here. After all, 6 GB of RAM and the best Snapdragon CPU at the moment, those achieve high scores. We have a big score in Quadrant, 31,000 points, beating the other models, and we also have a big score in Antutu. It's actually the biggest score of all the devices we've tested so far. It basically broke our benchmark, so to say. So let's see how it did. Here we are. It scored 140,494 points. It's number one in all of our tests. It beat the Xiaomi Mi 5, even the Galaxy Note 7, which we tested recently, the Galaxy S7, basically everything. And in the meantime, in Quadrant, the Galaxy S7 Edge scored more than this model for some reason. In GFX Bench, it's in the top 3, and it's a big hitter, that's for sure. Now the temperature. Here we have a temperature of 36.5 degrees Celsius achieved after playing the game Riptide for 15 minutes, so there is no overheating, while after the intensive benchmark GFX Bench, 35.1 degrees Celsius, so once again, no overheating. So performance is top notch here, a really powerful device. Now battery wise, inside this heavy hitter is a 3100 mAh lithium polymer unit with quick charge and USB Type-C port to charge it up. Now the video playback time was good, but not hugely good, so to say, not totally impressive. Okay, so let's look it up and see exactly how long this device lasted in our test. So here we are with the result of the continuous HD video playback time in a loop. We achieved 9 hours and 50 minutes, which is not exactly impressive for this size, it's just good. We surpassed the LG V10 and the OnePlus 2, but scored below the LG G5 and HTC One M8, which is quite an old phone nowadays. Now in PC Mark, this one was a bit of a letdown, 6 hours and 6 minutes, which could be better, much better. It beats the LG G5 and Xperia Z5, but scores below the HTC One A9 and the LG Nexus 5X. While testing the phone and preparing it for this review, I noticed the percentages dropping dramatically here, so you can really feel that the battery is being drained as you use the phone. However, the best aspect about the battery is the charging. Only 1 hour and 9 minutes, is the second placed phone all time. I've tested over 100 phones, or maybe 200, and this is second placed, second only to the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. That one had 1 hour and 5 minutes required for the charging. We also have special settings for the battery, which I'm going to look up here. Here we go, battery, and we got power saving management, we got ultra long standby during sleep mode, there's lock screen cleanup, app protection, align wake up, clock alignment night mode, and battery assistant here, basically a regular battery saver. That's all the power saving options we have. Overall, I would call the battery unimpressive considering the expectations and the sheer size of the phone, but the charging remains good and the video playback time may be good if you're not too, let's say, pretentious about the phone. Now, as far as the acoustics are concerned, we get here digital lossless music via USB Type-C because we don't have an audio jack. There's Dolby Atmos technology on board, and you may see dual grills here, but only the left one is the actual speaker. This one is only for the purpose of symmetry. Sadly, this left speaker is easily covered when you're doing gaming or watching videos. Anyway, the music player is this one, has a very strong online presence, as you can well see, a lot of services, online radio stations and all that, but we also have our own stored music here, which I'm going to listen to right now. Okay, we can draw some conclusions. The sound is very loud and very clear, no distortion, excellent bass, and can cover a conversation very easily. It's actually very loud and the instruments are perfectly rendered. We also did a decibel meter test, and we usually have a special audio sample, a test sample that we rely on, and that one resulted in a small result, so to say. So 78.7 decibels, not impressive. However, during the game Riptide GP we achieved a huge 95 decibels, so that's impressive. The same applies to the music you play on the device, so 95 decibels it is. It's the second best phone ever, another second best for the handset. It beats the predecessors, basically all of them, aside from the BlackBerry Passport that surpasses it only by 0.2 decibels, so a slight little bit. Bundled with the phone, there's this adapter, a USB Type-C to audio jack, so if you have a potent pair of headphones, you can connect them like this, and there's that. Okay, you may be wondering where the equalizer left. Well, sadly, there's no equalizer here. We only get a few options in the audio area. Let me find the audio area. Sounds and vibration, and Dolby Atmos is offered as an option, and digital earphone, so you need to insert a special USB Type-C headphone to get that lossless digital music. There is no FM radio in case you're wondering, and overall it's a great device for listening to music. Now let's talk about the camera. 21 megapixel shooter here with dual tone flash and the Sony IMX230 sensor, the same one from the Huawei Honor 7 and the Lenovo Vibe X3. It has hybrid autofocus, 4K video capture, 6p lens and f2.0 aperture. At the front, a 8 megapixel selfie camera. So now let's see how the camera handles its basic usage patterns. So opening up the camera app, pretty fast. And also fast, actually, to be honest, very fast, is the focus change. So focus on this area or on this area, and its change is quite fast. It's no Galaxy S7 focus wise, but still pretty fast. Fluid zoom, very fluid, and fast picture taking. The annoying bit regarding the UI is the fact that we constantly have that pop-up of the picture we just taken, which annoys me. We have an iOS inspired interface with these basic shortcuts here, and also basic options. We got exposure, picture size, white balance, ISO and contrast, sharpness and saturation. Then we can pull this side here for scene, beauty, square, night and HDR. We have panorama, we got video with its associated options like Full HD or 4K. There's also a slow-mo option here, and finally we got the effects. That's everything when it comes to the interface, and now it's time to go to the gallery because, as usual, we've taken, let's say, too many shots. There are 152 of them taken during the day and during the night. We have selfies, we have flowers, and we have panoramas. Okay, so it was taken, this gallery, at the end of August, on a day with good sun alternated by wind and some clouds. We have lots and lots of detail. It's a 20 plus megapixel camera after all. Some pretty well calibrated colors, I have to admit, and some perfect close-ups of flowers. As you can see, we can go into detail a lot because details are great thanks to this camera. There's a slight tendency to over sharpen the image at times, not very often, and I found the contrast, lighting and exposure satisfying, as well as the focus. You can zoom in into the shots all you want, there's no detail loss, and here we have a sample of the HDR in action being pretty nice. We also caught the sky in some shots, and while some phones may catch it burned or with an unrealistic shade, this one actually got it right. There's also a generous panorama in here, which is this one. Resolution is 10,448 pixels over 2416 pixels. It's clear, well lit, and not hugely curved. We don't have many blurred shots, actually I'm guessing we'll have less than 3 of them, quite impressive. Very nice textures of monuments here, buildings, vegetation, and all sorts of items. This is the first selfie we've taken. It feels a bit burnt, but the texture of the hair is pretty realistic, and while the first 2 selfies were a bit underwhelming, there was one later on in the shade that I'm very happy with. A variety of shots here. I'm happy with the colors and the textures, I have to say that again. And here we are, good selfie this one. I like the texture of the skin and of the hair, so I would rather take shots with the front camera in the shade than in the sun. This is a very dark passage area where I use the night mode. This is the regular shot and this is the night mode shot with much more realistic colors. In the end, it's a very good camera, and my only objection has to be that some close-ups were a bit hard to take. It took me a bit to get focusing properly on this flower to get the right close-up. In the end, it remains a very good camera, and it's no coincidence it has the same camera as the Lenovo Vibe X3. It has the exact same performance and maybe improved colors. It has iPhone-like clarity, and it's about on par with the Nexus 6P, but it's clearly below the Galaxy S7, HTC Edge and LG G5. That's during the day. Now during the night, I have a separate set of shots. Here we have big halos. Also when the flash is on, it's really on. We got a huge flash action going on here. Some blur here and there, but in general the clarity was okay, and so was the lighting. I like the texture of these bricks. Keep in mind it was taken during the nighttime, full nighttime, and I have to say that even though there are some yellowish hues and big streetlight halos, I was reasonably impressed with the quality of low light captures. It's below the HTC 10 by about 15% or maybe 20%, but the flash is really powerful and the color calibration and lighting is quite good. And I also like the fact that it can catch the sky properly even during the night and even spot the moon. However, it does remain below the Galaxy S7 if you really want a comparison. Now videos were shot in Full HD, 4K, we also have a slow motion, so we got things to enjoy galore here. And I would prefer to go to the video player instead of trying to look them up. Okay, so let's find the videos. We got this one, it's a Full HD clip. The microphone was an on and off experience, it didn't seem to face the wind properly. This is a shakier clip with pretty good color rendering and some quality loss when zooming in. There is also a sudden exposure change here and there, and the first level of zoom is good, but then quality is lost. We also tested the stabilization by walking around, and while the image was a bit jittery, the focus and clarity remained quite good in spite of climbing a pretty solid set of stairs. As you can see, the image is shaky like that, but focus and clarity are being kept. Okay, 4K video, here we come. Now let's see that 4K clip. It's this one here. Excellent clarity, excellent colors, basically excellent everything, nothing to complain about. Probably except for the strange way the sky is being rendered, this time not very realistic. I have to say that in spite of the pretty good filming, it's less impressive than the way the Nexus 6P captured video, and it's also pretty much on par with the Lenovo Vibe X3 and below the Sony Xperia Z5 if you really want a comparison. However, it's clearly superior to the video capture of the Huawei Honor models. Now the nighttime video capture looks like this. This clip came out a bit blurred, so it may be considered a failed attempt. But then we have one more. This is a bit clearer. The microphones are improved a bit. The streetlight halos are quite big. and the colors are okay. Still, it remains below the current flagships. Now it's time to check out the web browser. It's the pre-installed Chrome in this case, and I would have to say it's fast-ish, so not the fastest in the world, but decently fast as shown here. Okay, the benchmark results for the browser were quite good. I mean, SunSpider and the newest replacement for BrowserMark. Now the keyboard has a strange spacing. I do not like these keys, but at least we have something like swipe available here. Now on the connectivity front, we're dealing here with a dual SIM phone with dual nano SIM slots, dual standby. We got Wi-Fi 802.11a, B, G and AC with Bluetooth 4.1 in the mix as well. There's Wi-Fi display, Wi-Fi direct, GPS, GLONASS and an infrared emitter at the top. And we also have 4G LTE of the category 12 kind. There's HD calls, VoLTE, NFC, USB Type-C, and we also have a special remote control app, so you can put that infrared emitter to work and control your TV set, set-top box, smart box, DVD air conditioning or whatever. Now, as far as the phone calling goes, the calls are loud and clear, signal is good and microphone is also good. We have voice call recording if you want, and there's even a special section for the yellow pages, believe it or not. We also did a speed test with very solid results. So here we go. We achieved 97 megapixel in download and 42 in upload via 4G. Quite good results. And via Wi-Fi, let's see what the results were. Here we go. This is where we reached 179 megapixel in download and 22 in upload. Once again, great results. Okay guys, time to talk about the OS, UI and applications. As you can well see, this is not your typical Marshmallow device. We're running on EUI 5.6 based on Android Marshmallow, and it takes some cues from iOS. I do not like the scaling of the icons and interface elements. The drop down area is all notifications, and the multitasking area assumes the role of a sort of control center with multitasking available here. These options like quick settings and special shortcuts, brightness slider and also the music player, so a very crowded area, that control center. Other than that, all the apps are on the home screens, typical for a Chinese phone. There aren't any app drawers here. And let's see what else. If you keep the screen pressed, you can trigger themes, wallpapers, sort icons, and of course you have widgets, not many of them, and most of them pretty much stock, so not impressive in the widget department. If you swipe up, you get a global search. You can search for videos, you can search for wallpapers, applications, content, basically whatever on the web and on the phone. Now the settings are available here, and you can customize notifications to a high degree. There is do not disturb here. There's a control center, which is the multitasking area I mentioned before, with a ton of settings. And finally there is the fingerprint scanner, which is present at the back, and it's a special fingerprint scanner. It uses ultrasonic technology coming from Qualcomm. It's Qualcomm Snapdragon Sense ID. It scans a 3D image of your finger, including the likes of pores and ridges. You can even use it with wet fingers or dirty fingers, and it will be authentified. Okay, so screen lock, we have to select backup option. Okay, pin is confirmed, skipping the stuff. Unlock with fingerprint, confirming the password. Okay, we can also tap to capture photo, and we can unlock the device even without putting the screen on, just by putting your finger on the back. It's unlocked. It takes a bit longer, just a slight millisecond or two compared to other phones out there, and it's also a mirror area, which is an interesting aspect here. Now, as far as the pre-installed apps go, as usual we counted all of them. I got as high as 37 apps, which is closer to the bloater area. We have a file manager, calendar, we got system tools, 2 voice recorders, not 1, 2. We got Google Apps, strangely scaled. There is a super manager, probably the most useful app. This one here cleans the junk, saves power, data usage and other things like that. And then there's CM security, number 1 antivirus protection, at least that's promised in the start screen. This is the LeEco Le Max 2 in a nutshell, from the company known as LeEco, previously known as LeTV. They even make cars nowadays. And now it's time for the verdict here at gsndome.com. So this phone has a solid build, a good screen indoors, super hardware and performance, fast charging, perfect acoustics, Good camera for the pictures and for the selfies, great connectivity, and also includes infrared and a new generation of fingerprint scanner at the back. Okay, finally recognized. Those are the pros. Now on the cons side, we have those rough edges of the screen, the fact that the screen could be brighter, especially outdoors, the pretty weak battery, let's say, for such a heavy phone, and the fact that the battery drops as you can use the phone. So as you're using it, you see percentages dropping and dropping, not a good thing. The videos, and I mean video capture, is just okay. I want it a bit better considering the photo capture. And finally, the scaling of the icons and the screen elements could be better. It remains a future-proof phone with 6 GB of RAM. The future involves no audio jack, so another futuristic aspect, and a future of fingerprint scanner. So 3 futuristic aspects, lots of RAM, no audio jack, and ultrasonic scanner. It's a phone for the specs buffs. It's great for gamers, has a good camera, a good price, and it's for folks who love music, among others. Let's say it's a phone for the yappies. This is it from gsm.com. This has been the review of the LeEco Le Max 2, a pretty powerful, actually a very powerful smartphone. Bye bye.